Hello, friends. This is Rachel Cunningham, and you're listening to Joyful Love, episode 78. If you're ready to bring joy and connection back to your marriage, stick around. Each week, I give you the tools to up-level your thinking, open your heart, and bring joy and fun back to your relationship. Because it's not enough just to stay married. We want to love being married. So, Chris and I celebrated our 26th anniversary this week. And 26 years feels like a whole lot and very little at the same time. Sometimes I feel like time has just totally flown by. And I remember when I was first walking down that aisle and seeing Chris's sobbing eyes crying and me just feeling like I was the luckiest girl in the world. And, it feels like just yesterday when I was walking down the aisle. But then again, it feels like time has really drug on for a very long time sometimes, because the truth is life has not always been fun and games. We've had quite a few stressful years in there. And so, time is a funny thing, isn't it? It all depends on the day, how you see it. But yet, through it all, through the 26 years, through all the highs and lows, all the dreams and all the amazing things that have happened and all the really difficult years, we are still here 26 years later, laughing and learning and growing and failing and fumbling all over the place and just still all in together. And it feels really good to be where we are today. And I think if I had to sum up what helped us to last and actually enjoy each other and love each other through it all, is that ultimately we just accept each other. We just accept each other as who we are. Even when there are things that we'd like to be different or easier about the other person, we don't make that mean that something is wrong with each other, right? We look for and we see the beauty in each other. Even when both of us show up as a hot mess some days, we're there for each other. Even during the times that we're not showing up as our best selves, we still accept each other and we offer grace and compassion as much as possible. And we've had to learn to do that. It's not something that has always come easy. We've had to learn and practice that. But I would say that's it. That is the secret to a long, happy, healthy marriage, is radically accepting each other and seeing the beauty in each other and encouraging each other through the down times, right? And also laughter. We laugh a lot. We do our best to just enjoy each other, to be present and enough to laugh. And that's something I had to learn. That is something that I had to learn to lighten up about again. It's something that came easy in the beginning of our relationship, but as I had kids and as I felt the stress of life come in, I got so uptight that I was not easily laughing anymore. And I had to relearn how to be present so that I could actually see the humor in situations again and to welcome the humor that Chris brought into our lives. And so that is something I had to relearn. And I'm so glad I did, because I think it is secret number 2 to having a long, healthy marriage is lots and lots of laughter. But speaking of laughter, Chris and we're really looking forward to the Ted Lasso season 3 coming out next week. So in preparation, we watched the last episode of season 2 last night, and we were just reminded of how good of a show that is. It's funny, it's inspiring, it's like life coaching in a show. Ted Lasso is, I would say, he's my favorite life coach ever. If you haven't watched it yet, it's on Apple TV, and there's only 2 seasons so far, so you're not far behind. Go watch it. You can thank me later. With that said, let's talk about goals. No, not football or soccer goals, but life goals and planning for those goals on purpose and with intention. There is so much power in planning. I don't think it gets enough credit. Planning is this beautiful, magical thing that actually helps you get the life that you want. So we're going to talk about it today. Many of us have a lot of goals, but they're more like just dreams in our heads. They're nice things that we'd like to happen one day. But if you don't turn those dreams into actual goals and plan ahead of time for them, you will not feel in control of your life. Instead, you'll feel out of control and like life is just happening to you. I don't want your life to just happen to you. I want you to actively create your life. And yes, that includes the type of marriage that you want, the type of relationship that you want. You are in charge of your life. But how? How do you take charge of your life? How do you take control and make those dreams a reality? Number one, you have to make a decision of what you want. Like decide, okay, this is what I want in life. This is a non-negotiable in my life even. And then you turn that non-negotiable into a goal. Okay, number two, you cannot just say, okay, I now have my goal in place and expect to achieve it. You have to plan. The way you plan is by breaking your big goal down into tiny goals. And then plan on purpose when you will achieve those tiny goals. This is what we typically miss. Like take a simple goal, like even just a recipe, right? If you say, I want to make lasagna for dinner this week. That's my goal, to make lasagna for dinner this week. You can set the goal, but if you don't plan the steps in between the desire and the actual goal being achieved, you will not guarantee meeting your goal of having lasagna for dinner. You must make the decisions in between and plan those in your schedule. So, for example, this is when I'm going to decide which recipe I'll make. These are the ingredients I'll need. This is when I'm going to go to the store. This is the night that I have the most time to cook a big, nice meal. And then this is when I'll start prepping and cooking. Right? That's how you achieve the goal of having lasagna this week. And you've probably done something like that over and over so that you don't even have to think about it much. You're just like, okay, we're going to do lasagna and these are the steps I'm going to take to make it, right? But when it comes to bigger goals and goals that you're not used to achieving on a regular basis, you're going to have to do this stuff on purpose. You're going to have to plan on purpose ahead of time. So think about those goals that you want, whether it's creating a better relationship with your partner or becoming the healthiest version of yourself, or maybe even going after a career that you love. Deciding on your goal is first. And then you have to get specific in the details. And then when you are specific in those details, you put those details in your calendar. It sounds simple, but this makes all the difference in whether you just have dreams that are floating around in your head or whether you actually achieve your goals. This is how I have created a thriving business on purpose over the last 3 years. You know, sometimes I still can't believe that I, Rachel Cunningham, have a podcast with 78 episodes. It doesn't even make sense to the person that I used to be, to the procrastinator and the self-doubter that I used to be. But a few Christmases ago, I decided that I would start a podcast by May of 2021. So I asked for podcasting equipment for Christmas. I knew that was like step one. I had to get that, the microphone and the recording systems. I had to get that in place. So I got it. I received it for Christmas. And then I decided ahead of time, when do I want to release my first episode? And I decided, let me give myself plenty of time because I wanted to have 10 episodes recorded ahead of time so that I could have a good launch. So I decided May 1st, 2021. That would give me 5 months. I thought that's plenty of time. I can do that. It didn't feel scary to my brain, right? So I wrote down all the things that I would need to do, from recording to setting up an account with my podcasting host, to creating web pages on my site, to writing descriptions for each episode, and then to announcing and creating some buzz about it, right? There was a lot of little details in between that first episode being released. And then I planned to record 1 episode per week. So I wrote it all in my calendar, every single detail. And this is a big one. I honored my calendar. Not perfectly. I am still overcoming a deep-seated desire to procrastinate after all. And sometimes my plans got derailed. Sometimes I had to really do a lot of work to get over my nerves, and that took an extra week or two as I was learning. But if I got behind, I picked myself back up and I adjusted that in my calendar. And I kept practicing showing up. And I kept practicing honoring my calendar and respecting the decisions that my higher brain made the week before. And here's the thing, my podcast did not end up coming out until June of 2021, not May. Things took a little longer than I thought at first. I had more emotions to process about putting my voice out into the world than I realized. But I kept going. I kept practicing honoring my calendar. And if plans took longer, I did not give up. Instead, I adjusted my calendar. I chose to relax. I chose to keep planning and to keep learning and to keep going. But I had to start with a plan first. Otherwise, if I never would have created that plan, I'd probably still be saying, hey, I should start a podcast someday. It'd be great to start a podcast someday. And I'd be annoying the hell out of my husband saying, hey, Chris, don't you think I should start a podcast someday? And he'd be like, yeah, you should start a podcast someday. And it would just be this pipe dream in my head that never was allowed to be brought to fruition, right? But instead, because I chose to plan ahead and put it in my calendar, even the minor details, right? Even those minor details that I wasn't even aware existed before podcasting came into my mind, I put those in my calendar. I planned ahead of time. And I had to show up and look at my calendar every day and decide, okay, I'm going to feel these emotions that tell me I don't want to do this right now, or I'm going to feel these nerves and I'm going to do it anyway. Those little details that are planned out on purpose and honored are what gets us to our big goals. So get detailed, be specific, try to think about everything, or at least as much as you can that needs done in order to achieve your goal, and write it down. When are you going to achieve that goal? Right? And I want you to give yourself room to breathe here. Don't say, I'm going to achieve this goal next week when you know you're going to have to take 80 hours to achieve it. That's not being realistic, and it's not honoring your whole self. Honor your whole self and your goals. Honor your desire for rest and fun and connection as well. Otherwise, you're just going to keep avoiding it. And then also plan for obstacles, right? Your kids are going to get sick. You're going to get sick. Your partner's going to need your help. You're going to have to work through your own fears and doubts. Plan for those obstacles and then decide what you're going to do when those obstacles come up. This is part of what's missing in goal setting as well. We cram so much in that when an obstacle comes up, we have no space for it. And then we get exhausted by the obstacle and give up. And we say, this is not the right time. We'll do it next year, right? So obstacles are part of achieving your goal. Plan for those obstacles. Plan for the bumps in the road. There will be bumps in the road, I promise. And then put every detail in your calendar. When will you do each task? And this is huge. When you're first starting to calendar, make sure that you have plenty of white space in your calendar to move things around if life throws you a curveball, right? If not, you're going to have to choose to let something go that week. And you're also going to have to ask yourself, is there something that I need to take out of my calendar, right? It's not always about putting things in your calendar. It's also about planning which things you're going to let go of. So for example, when I chose to remodel a bedroom in our house to become my office, which I just did that last week, on purpose, I looked at my calendar and I said, I don't have time for everything plus remodeling an office. So I chose that I'm not going to cook or clean that week. So we ended up having really easy meals or eating out. And then I allowed my house to get dirty because I only have a finite amount of time. So I chose on purpose to let some of those things go to achieve other goals. And it was worth it. I now have a remodeled office and I love it. And even though the rest of my house is dirty, all of that stuff can be caught up on, right? I chose to prioritize the goal over some other things. So you might need to do that as well. What do you need to let go of in your calendar so that you can actually achieve these goals? Once you put everything in your calendar and take some things out, you're going to have to actually get in the practice of looking at your calendar because it now contains your manual of how and when you'll achieve what you want. You've used your higher brain to plan ahead of time. Now it's time to put the plan into action. Don't ignore your calendar. I'm currently doing this with the rest of my house. I have projects to do. I have things to declutter. I have rooms to organize and, old things to donate and sell. And I do a little bit of this every year, but with the kids moving out and me changing a spare bedroom to my office, it feels like this year I have a lot more to achieve to get my home in the order that I desire. So I sat down and I wrote out all of what I wanted to do for my home. And because I run a full-time business, there's very little time to do it. So I gave myself plenty of time. I'm not cramming it all into 1 month like my brain wants to. Instead, I'm making it possible in 3 months. I put 1 or 2 things in my calendar each week to achieve for my home in small enough chunks so that my brain doesn't want to avoid it, right? I know it's achievable. My goal, my personal goal, is to have everything done by June 1st. But here's the deal. If something in life happens, I'm not going to just throw in the towel. Instead, I'll adjust and I'll plan again and I'll recalendar to adapt to what I need. So my plan is to finish by June 1st, but if I don't finish until August, that's okay. I'm still achieving my goal. I'm not going to make it mean anything if it takes me a little bit longer because I'm practicing showing up. I'm practicing honoring my higher self that planned ahead of time. I'll still show up and do the best that I can with the time I have because I am in charge of my calendar. My calendar is not in charge of me. But I must start with planning, writing down the details, putting it in my calendar, and prioritizing honoring my calendar. Those little bitty details are what helps you achieve those big goals. So make these decisions on purpose, ahead of time. That's all planning is. It's making decisions ahead of time. Instead of planning and making decisions ahead of time, most of us hope to get things done this week. And we think about it and keep putting it off. But since we never plan for it, those little details become what I call energy leaks. And you know that you'll understand like the energy leaks because you're thinking about them and you feel exhausted, right? Just the thought of those little details that you want to do feels exhausting. When your goals are just in your head, you spend so much time saying, oh, I got to do this soon. and then you forget, and then you remember, and then you say again, oh my gosh, I need to do that. Why do I keep putting this off? Why do I keep procrastinating? And it's this exhausting game that you're playing with yourself of, I should do that, but I don't have time right now, so I'll put it off till later. And then you beat yourself up and you're just zapping your energy. So don't let your goals, whether they're big goals or little goals, become energy leaks. You deserve that energy. I catch myself doing this on small goals too, even like with just phone calls that I need to make. Like I'll need to make a call about a broken washing machine, or schedule an appointment with the doctor, or even just call my mom, and I'll tell myself, oh, there's no time right now, I'll do that tomorrow. And then tomorrow comes and I'll say, oh shoot, there's not enough time today, I'll do it tomorrow. So I've recently started even putting phone calls in my calendar. If I think I need to call this person, I'll open my calendar and I'll find some white space and I'll put it in. Planning ahead of time works, especially for procrastinators like me. So I want you to remember this too. Planning does not rob you of time. It doesn't zap your time. It doesn't take away your freedom. It actually saves you time. It gives you more freedom. And it also saves your energy. You no longer have to spend time spinning in decision making and wondering when you're ever going to get this done. Look at it this way. You can spend all your time thinking about your desired goals and getting distracted when you're with your family because your to-do list is in your head and all the things you wish you could do are in your head. And so that distracts you from family life, doesn't it? It distracts you from being present with your kids, present with your spouse, all because you have these unmet desires that you're wondering if you're ever going to get to. So when you plan, it gives your mind an opportunity to settle and to rest because it starts to trust, hey, these things are taken care of. These things are in the plan. They're in the works. So now you can just relax. So now it's your turn. Decide what your next goal is. Get really detailed about it and put those details or tasks into the calendar. And when the time comes to do the task, honor it. And don't let indecision hold you back. Honor that as a commitment to your highest self. And it's interesting too, when you plan and when you have it in your calendar, you actually make decisions quicker. I just did this when choosing wallpaper for my office. I am queen of putting off decorating my home because I'm afraid of making a decorating decision that I'll later regret. So I gave myself in my calendar, I gave myself 2 hours to research. And I said, I'll order wallpaper by the end of that 2 hours. And I did, which means I had to choose on purpose to love this wallpaper for the next 5 years. Setting a time limit to make a decision was a better option than waiting for another 5 years to have a finished office. And it's likely, if I would have waited 5 years and spent all that time in indecision, it's very likely that I would have chose the same wallpaper 5 years down the road. So decide what you want, plan ahead, make decisions quickly, and honor your calendar like it's your best friend that's full of massive wisdom. That calendar was made and created with your highest, wisest, most inspired self, right? It's made from your higher brain, not your lower brain that just wants pleasure and ease in the moment. So now you just have to get good at honoring it. You have to get good at feeling your feelings when those feelings and emotions arise and want to hold you back. You have to say, okay, yes, I'm feeling this feeling and I'm going to go and do what's in my calendar anyway. This is how you create the life that you want. This is how you achieve goals on purpose. This is how life stops just happening to you and instead you become in control of your own life. of creating the life that you want. And if you're saying, Rachel, I'm a free spirit, I can't plan, or my kids throw everything off, I want to ask you, how's that working out for you? Because I get it. I said that for a really long time. I'm a free spirit too. And my family still has needs, even though my kids are young adults and teens. And when I first started doing this calendaring work, I had to remind myself that I am the boss of my calendar, not the other way around. I've learned to keep enough space in my calendar to allow for flow and spontaneity, because I crave that as well. So sometimes that means goal deadlines get pushed back a little. But that's okay, because I am learning that I'm a person who achieves her goals, no matter what, even if bumps in the road happen, because I know how to plan for those bumps in the road too. I'm learning, and I'm getting better and better at this every day. And you will too, but you have to start somewhere. You have to start by just saying, okay, what's one small goal that I want? Let me plan it. Let me go achieve it. And the more goals you plan and achieve, the better you're going to get at this. And the truth is, the better I plan, the more spontaneous and free that I feel. I no longer have those energy leaks throughout my day. And the better I plan, the easier it is to be present with my family. And that's like one of my number one goals, right? I know these things will get done, and I know exactly when, so my brain is more free. My mind is free to just rest when it's time to rest. You know, goal planning is one of the things that I help my clients with. They learn to plan ahead of time for the needs and wants that they have in life, and they go make it happen. You know, it's a misconception that we don't have enough time. We do. We have plenty of time. We have more than enough time. And when you know how to use it, you'll start to get time back. And one of the things that often comes up when I'm coaching my clients is procrastination. And so we really dig in and understand why they're procrastinating, what they're avoiding, and why they're not committing to their goals. That is part of this as well. You can't just write it in your calendar. You can make the perfect plan and the perfect calendar with the right amount of white space in there for freedom. But if you're not going to commit to it, it's just going to be a calendar. It's just going to be a forgotten schedule again, right? So we have to understand as well why you have an aversion to honoring what's on your calendar. If this is something that you would like to work on, of actually achieving the goals that you want to in life, I invite you to come work with me, because achieving the desires on your heart is a huge part of creating a marriage that works for you. It's a part of fun. It's a part of enjoyment in life. And coaching can help you get there faster, easier, and with more fun along the way. So you can book a free consultation with me at rachelcunningham.com/work with me. On that free consultation, we're going to look at your life. We're going to look at all aspects of your life and see which ones are working really well. And we'll look at what's not working, and I'll help you understand why, so that we can know exactly what steps to take to get you to the goals that you want. From a better relationship with your partner to a better relationship with yourself. All right. Again, you can book that call at rachelcunningham.com/work with me. Okay, I'll see you all next week. Thanks for listening to Joyful Love. If you'd like to know more about my work, come visit me at rachelcunningham.com. That's Rachel, spelled with an A-E-L, Cunningham.com.